In this section, I'm going to provide a brief overview of Archaea. So Archaea are more closely related to the domain Eukarya than they are to bacteria, although when you look at them, they look like bacteria. They're prokaryotes. They are all single-celled, except they live in really extreme environments. They share ribosomal RNA sequences that are not found in bacteria. Protein synthesis and ribosomal subunit structures are also similar. Differences from other cell types: they have certain genetic sequences that are only found in their rRNA. They have a unique method of DNA compaction, and they have unique membrane lipids, cell wall composition, and pilin proteins. So this is a comparison chart of the three domains so that you can see the differences and similarities between bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So take some time to review this chart. Archaea are the most primitive of all life forms, most closely related to cells that originated about 4 billion years ago. They live in habitats that are similar to the extremes that were found in the ancient environment, so high heat, salt, acid, pH pressure, and atmosphere. There are methane producers, hyperthermophiles, extreme halophiles, and sulfur reducers. Methanogens convert carbon dioxide and hydrogen into methane gas. Methane gas is CH4, and it's found in gas that comes out of animals. It's also found in swamps. So common inhabitants of anaerobic swamp mud, the bottom of sediments and lakes and oceans, and the digestive systems of animals. Cows actually contain a lot of methanogens that produce methane gas. This methane gas is produced in the rumen, and it has to be expelled. If it's not expelled, the cow develops something called bloat, and it can actually suffocate them. So sometimes farmers that see their cows are developing bloat will have to shove a tube down their throat into their rumen to expel the gas, to get them to burp out that gas and get rid of it, or they actually tap a hole in the side of the cow so that that rumen can expel the gas. Failing to do so will cause the cow to die, so it's a very important thing to monitor cows for. The gas produced in swamps may become a source of fuel, and it may contribute to greenhouse gases and global warming. Extreme halophiles require salt to grow. Some can multiply in 36% sodium chloride that would destroy most cells. They exist in inland seas, salt lakes, salt mines, and in salted fish. Use red pigment to synthesize ATP in the presence of light. They can live in the Dead Sea. It's called the Dead Sea due to the high salt concentration. These guys live there just fine. So this is a picture of halophiles around the world. Psychrophiles and hyperthermophiles. Psychrophiles grow at very low temperatures. Hyperthermophiles grow at very high temperatures. And we'll learn more about these temperature ranges of microorganisms when we talk about microbial growth. They can live in volcanic waters and soils and submarine vents. They're often salt and acid tolerant as well. When we classify bacterial species and subspecies, a bacterial species is a collection of bacterial cells which share an overall pattern of similar traits. A subspecies, strain, or type is talking about bacteria of the same species that have differing characteristics. So all members of one subspecies or strain may be different from the members of a different subspecies or strain. Usually when we talk about human pathogens, person A could have a Staphylococcus aureus infection. Person B could also have a Staphylococcus aureus infection, but they could be infected with different strains of that bacterium. And we can assign it a strain number based on the person that we isolated from. Now, a serotype or a serovar talks about representatives of a species that stimulate a distinct pattern of antibody responses because of distinct surface molecules. If you've ever noticed, when you get certain infections, you may be able to get them more than once. And you may be wondering, why is my body not immune? For example, strep throat. People have usually gotten strep throat more than once in their lifetime. But it's the same species. It's Streptococcus pyogenes that's causing the infection. It's group A beta-lactam strep pyogenes. So with that one, why do we get it more than once? Well, there's actually 80 different serovars that we know of that exist, or possibly more than that, but 80 different types of strep. So you could actually get strep 80 times in your lifetime. And that's due to the surface molecules and our antibody response against those surface molecules. So species, strain, and serovar or serotype have to do with different things. So bacterial species is kind of a broad category of the microorganisms that's causing the infection. Strain is talking about the specific type that's infecting at that time, and that has to do with characteristics of the infecting organism. While serovar has to do with our immune response against that pathogen. And the surface molecules that are presented on the surface of that cell have different interactions with our immune system and will elicit different antibody response, which will cause different types of memory. So this is somewhat important when talking about human health and bacteria, but just know the general differences for any test questions that may arise in this course.